I just see your forehead. Well, you're like kind of in the intro of this video. I know it's been a while since I talked to you guys, but look on the bright side. I just rode a dinosaur, and the dinosaur ate a bunch of apples, and then the dinosaur laid an egg, and out came this flower that I myself ate the flower and was able to throw a bunch of fireballs. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of the new Super Mario Brothers game. My roommate got a new Wii U for Christmas, and I've been playing that game ever since, pretty much. When I close my eyes, all I see is this little Mario just jumping around. So, what's new with you? Hello? Well, if you're just gonna sit there and not say anything, I might as well tell you what I've been up to. You probably don't know this, but this guitar right here was broken for probably 3 or 4 months, maybe even more. Right here, there was a big, huge crack, and every time I tried to play it, the neck would bend back and forth, and all the notes would bend back and forth, so I couldn't really play anything on it. Moist. I don't know why I just said that. I think we should try to make moist a catchphrase. Just sort of like people say badass or cool or sick. Which is kind of strange how sick caught on, since sick originally means like ill and you're vomiting, gross, chunky, old food, half digested all over the place, and you feel gross and can't go to work. It's almost like the opposite of really what it's intended. So, I mean, if you say that was sick, you could mean that, oh, that was like ill, which also is kind of like a cool thing to say, like maybe back in the 90s. That was so ill, man! That was so ill! So, I think we should make moist one. Maybe it already is in some circles. I'm sure it is. Which is, if it is, that would be pretty moist. What is the point of this video? Since I got my guitar back, I've been thinking a lot about music. I'm usually very analytical about music. I listen to the notes, kind of how the different parts correlate together, how the drum beat and the rhythm part kind of mix with the bass part, and how that mixes with the melodies and the harmonies, and I kind of try to really pay attention to all the parts individually and how they relate to each other. Someone who doesn't play music might just kind of hear the sounds, or they might hear the lead part primarily and might not notice all the subtleties. And let's say someone stripped out the bass line. They might listen to that song and say, there's something off about this, there's something weird about it, but they wouldn't really know what it was. And for someone who has been listening to music for a long time, or who's been interested in music for a long time, would be like, oh, the bass line's gone. There's no bass. But as I grow older and I listen to more and more music, the music I listen to is more and more complex. Since I like to listen and analyze the music, I find when it's too simple, it's too boring to analyze. I almost need a challenge. I like to listen and try to figure everything out and almost be able to memorize it afterwards. I actually could listen to a song a few times and then be able to memorize it in my head. Like, I'll be able to listen to it, and then later that day I could be playing it in my head almost like there's a radio in my head. Which is a nice skill to have when you're a musician. What's great about this is you're able to kind of hold on to those notes, so if you want to make songs you could just kind of be able to figure them out a lot better. So yeah, I've been into music a lot lately, and as a lot of you know, I'm really into psychology. I'm really interested in how the mind works, how other people's minds works. Like, it just makes it easier to relate to other people and understand people and understand myself. And I just find it fascinating and interesting. It just opens up a new paradigm of how I could see the world. So being interested in psychology, I decided to take the Briggs-Myers test, or the Jungian test. It's basically a personality test that you could just look online. You could just type in personality test and take one of these tests. And what I found out I was an INFP, which means introverted, intuitive thinking, feeling. I'm more of a feeler than... I make more decisions based on my feelings, and I feel a lot more than basing decisions on pure thinking things through. I mean, I think things through, but a lot of my decisions are guided by the way things make me feel. And then P, which is perceptive. What's great about these things is you could look up your personality test, and it reveals what these type of people are like, and it's very accurate. It's very accurate descriptions of what your personality is, but it's really great because you kind of get some insight into yourself. It was great for me because INFPs like myself are one of the very rarest type. I think INFPs make up 4% of the population. A lot of INFPs, since they're so rare, they find it hard to relate to people, or people don't understand them quite much, and they don't understand other people, which I find that happens all the time. I find the people I am like closest friends with, I make friends with a lot of people, but I don't, you know, there's just that gap almost. It almost feels like they're just such a different person than I am. They just don't like understand. They almost think on a different wavelength. And people who are I noticed are INFPs, which after I took this test I was able to identify the other INFPs that I work with, which was like one, which actually happened to be one of my best friends that I work with. I talked to them and I'm like, I'm going to guess you're an INFP, just like a guess. They took the test and they were an INFP. And I'm like, oh, that must be why we're so close friends. Like when I met them, I almost immediately identified with them. Like I almost felt like I kind of thought on the same wavelength as them. Really daydreamy and creative type people. But what I found really interesting about this was, I was like, well, I wonder what some of my favorite musicians' personality types are, because I was listening to a few of my favorite musicians, and when I was listening to them, just based on the music and like the way they portrayed themselves, I just kind of guessed. I'm like, they seem like an introverted person, intuitive, more feely type person. I'm gonna guess that they're an INFP, and there was a few of my favorite musicians. Keep in mind that I'm only 4% of the population. One of my favorite musicians is Laura Marling. She's a folk singer, and I looked up what her personality type was on Google, INFP. And I was listening to Bjork earlier, and I really like Bjork. It's really weird music, really experimental, but like it has a lot of feeling behind it. It has a lot of, I don't know, depth, and I just really like listening to it. I listen to music because I like to feel the music. Like I like to listen and analyze, as I said, but I like to feel the emotion that comes out of the music. And I noticed a lot of my friends who are extroverted, they don't like that type of music. They don't like the weird, more feely type of music. We like a lot of similar bands, but they like more of the stuff that you could purely just dance to. And I thought that was interesting. Like how different personality types can influence the type of music you listen to. And how, as an INFP, some of my favorite musicians happen to be the exact same personality type, even though they're only a small percentage. But I know for a fact that a lot of people aren't into Bjork's music, and I'm willing to bet that a lot of people who are diehard fans of Bjork, and I'm not a diehard fan, I was listening to her earlier and I really like it, but I'm willing to bet they're at least similar personality types. Willing to bet. Anyways, that's my ramble for today. This started off as a kind of goofy video and then went all serious, so, you know, consistency is key. Alright, peace. Oh, I might as well do the outro now. Okay. Mike Marino videos.